Pope hits back at Trump.
The top story on Gold FM.
Sri Lankans will be celebrating the Sinhala and Tamil New Year tomorrow, a festival that marks the sun's transit from Pisces to Aries and the end of the harvest season. The New Year period on the island is a time for family reunions, traditional rituals and community games. As per the auspicious times for this year, the Sinhala and Tamil New Year will officially dawn at 9:32 am tomorrow. The period of spiritual reflection, the Nonagate, begins much earlier at 8 am tomorrow morning and will conclude at 3:56 pm in the afternoon. During this time, the public is religious activities and distance themselves from worldly work. Once the new year dawns, the hearth should be lit at the auspicious time of 10:51 am tomorrow. Shortly after, at 12:06 pm, the nation will unite to commence work, engage in financial transactions, and partake in the first meal of the new year. As far as other rituals are concerned, the anointing of oil is scheduled for Wednesday at 6:55 am. For those needing to depart for urgent duties, the time is 5:38 am on Friday, facing the north. For the general return to work on Monday, the 20th of April, you may depart at 6:27 am facing south or at 6:50 am facing east. Finally, for those looking to nourish the environment, the auspicious time for planting a sapling is set for 9:01 am on the 23rd of April while facing the northern direction. Meanwhile, the Hiru Media Network completes all preparations for the Surya Singhale Hiru Ekkathun Hele Avrudu Mangalya at the White Lotus premises in Bolgoda. Over 200 veteran and popular artists join the cultural spectacle, a concept by Hiru Media Network chairman Reno Silva. This traditional celebration brings authentic New Year rituals to television screens, aiming to communicate cultural values to the younger generation.
This is the local news on Gold FM.
It is just hours away to welcome the dawn of the Sinhala and Tamil New Year, a festival that symbolizes unity and harmony. However, according to experts, the festival that we celebrate today has a history of over a century. With the intention of exploring this rich history, we spoke to an expert who is well versed on the subject. According to Professor Rohitha Dasanayake, senior lecturer at the University of Peradeniya, the Sinhala and Tamil New Year was a celebration to showcase the unity of Sri Lankans against colonial rule.
When we go back to the history, we don't have evidence. Even our great chronicles, Mahavansa and Deepavansa and other chronicles also never mention this festival. But we have to keep in mind, many of these New Year's customs existed in ancient times. For example, working according to the auspiciousness. Also, the Sinhala and the Tamil New Year that we celebrate today begin as recently as 1914. It really started for the unity for the Sinhala and the there was a serious outreach against the British rule. Based on the decide to stand up against the British, actually the New Year festival started. That is the history what we are celebrating in present.
Further, continuation of the age-old traditions was another motive behind the celebration British colonization period.
They used the previous ethical norms and rituals, everything they collected, then they indicate through this New Year festival. That is wanted to highlight, because that time our rituals and everything, it was being declined. So they wanted to protect that old rituals and what we practiced in earlier. That is the main objective of this festival.
Professor Dasanayake then offered an explanation on powerful the Nakat or the auspicious times by taking examples from our age-old history.
The Nakat are astrologically celebrated and the moments based on the planetary position that doing rituals at this exact time is believed to bring good fortune and prosperity for the year ahead. That is the main objective of this Nakat. And other one is teacher's time, discipline, unity. To see the all major rituals, lighting the heart and the first meal, first transactions are done by the whole society at the same auspicious time. Actually, this sets the tone for the working on time for the rest of the year and reinforce the family unity. That is the main idea of this practice of this ritual. Normally, 80% of Sri Lankan families follow this practice. When you go back to the history of the auspicious times, I will give the example, the Aukana Buddha statue and the Galvihara Buddha statue. And they made exactly according to the auspicious time. That auspiciousness is so powerful that time. What I would say, that auspiciousness is so powerful that to time no one has been able to harm those Buddha statues. In ancient times, astrological science was given the greater importance.
Finally, he highlighted the necessity to preserve these traditions going forward. He is of the view that the younger generation, who are very much influenced by electronic devices, should take the lead in this regard.
What is important of this New Year festival is actually whatever the difficulties we have, they practice this, they follow these rituals. Even we also have a very busy life, but even our father, what they have done, what mothers have done, we also practice same. So generation to generation it is going. But through electronical items, we need to give this message more powerfully. That is my main objective of this idea. The message should go to the public. That's it is. We have to emphasize the importance of these rituals and the nakat and everything.
Meanwhile, Deshamanya J.B. Disanayake, Emeritus Professor of the University of Colombo, also expressed his thoughts ahead of the New Year dawn.
For a long time, Sri Lankan and Hindus were celebrating this festival once a year. Therefore, we are celebrating it again. We together enjoy it so that we share what we have.
Police and health authorities issued a set of safety guidelines to minimize incidents during the festive season. Officials urged the public to maintain strict vigilance regarding the use of firecrackers and fireworks alongside adherence to road safety regulations. Dr. Chamil Vijayasinghe, media spokesperson for the Government Medical Officers Association, provided further clarification on these preventive measures, and in the interest of clarity, we refrained from dubbing his remarks.
ජනවාරි 1 වෙනිදා අපි අම්මාකාරයක අඩුවීමක් දැක්කා මේ ගිනිකෙලි අනතුරු වල. ඒ ප්‍රවණතාවයෙන් ඊටත් වඩා හොඳින් මේ සිංහ හින්දු අලුත් අවුරුද්දේත් ආරක්ෂා වෙනවා නම් අපි ඒ ගැන සතුටු වෙනවා. විනෝදචාරිකා යනවා. හැබැයි මේ සියල්ල අතරතුරේදී අපි මතක් කරනවා ඔබ රිය පදවනකොට ඔබේ ආරක්ෂාව ගැන සැලකිලිමත් වෙන්න.
An audio recording is being distorted and circulated on social media with various interpretations. This was said by Lanka Coal Company Chairman Jayanta Ratnayake in a statement today. This follows a complaint filed with the CID today by Samagi Janabalawege MP Mujibur Rahman and others regarding an emergency tender for coal imports. The chairman's statement further explained that the circulated content relates to a telephone conversation on the 25th of March. It is between the general manager of the company and an official of the local agent for the coal supplying firm. The statement said that the communication involved a notification regarding a performance bond issued by the bank for a company already awarded the contract through the tender board with cabinet approval, which the chairman claims is now being misrepresented. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa claimed the truth behind the coal fraud now emerges. He made these remarks while addressing a gathering held in Tissa Maharama today, and in the interest of clarity, we refrained from dubbing his remarks.
දවසින් දවස මේ ගල්ලංගුරු වංචාව පිළිබඳව සත්‍ය තොරතුරු රටට හෙළිදරව් වෙමින් පවතී. ගල්ලංගුරු කිතරම් බාල වුණාද කිව්වොත් අපේ රටට අවශ්‍ය ගල්ලංගුරු ප්‍රමාණය තවත් වැඩි ප්‍රමාණයක් ලබා ගැනීමේ අවශ්‍යතාවයක් නිර්මාණය. ඒ වගේම ගල්ලංගුරු ටෙන්ඩරය පවරපු ඒ බාල ගල්ලංගුරු සැපයුම්කරුවන් ඒ නිසි ප්‍රමිතිය ලබා නොදුන්න වගේම ඒ අවශ්‍ය නැව් ප්‍රමාණයක් ලබා දෙන්නට අපොහොසත් වුණු නිසායි හදිසි මිලදී ගැනීමකට රජය යොමු දැන් පැහැදිලිවම විගණකාධිපතිවරයාගේ වාර්තාවේ සඳහන් වෙනවා මේ හදිසි මිලදී ගැනීම සඳහා තෝරාගත් පාර්ශවයක් නිසි ප්‍රමිතියට ගල්ලංගුරු සැපයීමේ හැකියාව කිසි දවසක පෙන්වලා දෙලා නැහැ කියන කාරණා. ඒ නිසා විවෘත ප්ලැට්ෆෝම් එකක් කරහා මින් ඉදිරියට ගල්ලංගුරු ප්‍රසම්පාදන ක්‍රියාවලිය පමණක් නෙවෙයි විදුලි බල ක්ෂේත්‍රයේ පමණක් නෙවෙයි රටේ සෑම ක්ෂේත්‍රයක මේ ටෙන්ඩර් ක්‍රියාවලිය මේට වඩා විනිවිද භාවයෙන් යුක්තව ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙන අලුත් යාන්ත්‍රණයක අවශ්‍යතාවය අපි පෙන්눔 කළ දෙන්න කැමැති. වහාම ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙන පරිදි මේ බාල ගල්ලංගුරු දූෂිත ක්‍රියාවලිය සම්බන්ධ සියලුම දෙනා නීතිය හමුවට ගෙනෙන්නට කටයුතු කරනවා.
Now for some news in brief.
The Department of Meteorology warns that heat levels felt by the human body will remain at a caution level in several parts of the island tomorrow, and accordingly, warm weather is expected to affect the northern, north-central, northwestern, western and southern provinces, as well as certain areas within the Trincomalee district.
The business news on Gold FM.
The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries lowered its global oil demand forecast for the second quarter of 2026 by 500,000 barrels per day. OPEC officials cited the ongoing conflict in the Middle East as the primary driver for the downward revision in its latest monthly market report. World demand now sits at a projected average of 105.07 million barrels per day, reflecting a decline from previous estimates. The producer group noted that geopolitical developments triggered a transitory weakness in demand growth across both developed and emerging economies.
International news on Gold FM.
The United States military has issued a direct warning to global shipping that any vessels attempting to enter or depart Iranian ports will face interception, diversion and capture. Enforced by U.S. Central Command, the blockade is scheduled to commence at 7:30 p.m. Sri Lankan time today in the Gulf of Oman and the Arabian Sea. While American commanders clarified that the operation will not impede neutral transit to non-Iranian destinations through the Strait of Hormuz, the enforcement marks a significant escalation following the collapse of weekend peace talks in Pakistan. In a show of regional solidarity, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu confirmed his government's full support for the move, stating that Vice President J.D. Vance had briefed him on the necessity of halting all Iranian nuclear enrichment. Tehran has reacted with defiance, with the Iranian armed forces labeling the American action maritime piracy and a violation of international law. Military officials in Iran warned that if their ports are targeted, no other port in the Persian Gulf or the Sea of Oman will remain safe. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps added that any military vessels approaching the Strait of Hormuz will be dealt with severely, maintaining that they will continue to control the waterway even after the current conflict ends. Analysts suggest the blockade may be a tactical attempt by the Trump administration to pressure Beijing into forcing Tehran back to the negotiating table. Meanwhile, Pope Leo has entered the fray, stating he has no intention to debate the war with President Trump. Responding to the president's social media attacks, the pontiff asserted that he is not a politician and will continue his mission to promote peace and end the madness of war. On the ground, fighting continues to intensify as the Israel Defense Forces announced they have surrounded the key town of Bint Jbeil in southern Lebanon. The Israeli military claims to have killed 100 Hezbollah fighters in recent operations, while Hezbollah reported launching drone strikes against soldiers in northern Israel. As the deadline for the naval blockade approaches, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen called for robust coordination among EU states to manage the growing financial and security risks posed by the ongoing 44-day conflict.
Entertainment news on Gold FM.
Legendary playback singer Asha Bhosle was cremated with full state honors at Shivaji Park today following her death at age 92. The Guinness World Record holder passed away while receiving treatment at a hospital in Mumbai. Throughout an 8-decade career, the veteran artist recorded over 12,000 songs and received the Dada Saheb Phalke Award and Padma Vibhushan.
Sports news on Gold FM.
Reports indicate the bowling action of all-rounder Chaminda Wickramasinghe remains under suspicion. Match officials reported the matter to the High Performance Unit during the ongoing National Super League domestic cricket tournament. The 23-year-old Wickramasinghe represented Sri Lanka in 4 one-day internationals and 3 T20 internationals. That's it for the news. I'm Atik Rumi. Have a great evening.